Hi guys, and welcome back to another tutorial. So if you want to see how I achieved this very bra, then you want to keep on watching to the end of this video, because I'm going to be giving detailed explanations of how I achieved this bra. Okay, so firstly we'll be needing our basic bodice. We'll be needing our basic bodice pattern, and then this is bust point. Just as you know, this is bust point. I wanted to use the marker, but I found out the tip is too bold. But anyway, I'll just use it that way. On the bust point, and then also our waistline for the front basic block. So having done this now to the front basic block, you also have attached, I've gone ahead to impute my side bust dart and also my waist dart. So having done all this now, we're going to be getting our bust circumference. I already have a video where I explained this bust circumference in details in my channel, so you can just check that up in my channel. There's a video where I explained this bust circumference in details. Okay, so having done that now, we'll be going round to get the bust circumference, and that is exactly what you see me doing. I'm trying to get the bust circumference, which is going to help us in this very particular tutorial. Okay, so I'm still drawing in my bust circumference. Okay, so having done that now, I went ahead to go off camera to get the rest of the bust circumference, just so I don't bore you with the whole thing. I already have a video on this, as I've said. This circle is actually the distance from your bust point to your under bust, so that's what you're going to be taking around. So after doing this now, we are going to be putting our contour guideline. First, I'll start from the contour guideline that comes from the neckline. Okay, I'll have to measure around my neckline, and I'll be using half of the measurement. So half of this measurement of my neckline is 2 inches. And having done that, also I'll be going to the armhole contour guideline. You can take any measurement you want, but this very particular point, I think it's very okay. So I'll be connecting this to the bust point now, and going in with my tape rule. I'll be taking 0.25 inch from my bust circumference, connecting it to the neckline and also to the bust point, also connecting it to the bust point and also to the neckline. So having connected these lines, I also go ahead to the armhole contour guideline to also connect that of the armhole contour guideline to the bust point. So having done that, also I marked also 0.25 inches, and I'm going to connect it to the bust point. Having connected all this to the bust point now, these are basically the contour guidelines that we'll be needing for this tutorial. Also, I'll go ahead to impute my under bust contour guideline. From the center of that dart, will be going in by 0.8 inch on both sides of the under bust. Okay. So having done that now, I'll be connecting it to the bust point and also to the waistline. From the bust point, I'll be connecting to the bust. From the under bust, sorry, I'll be connecting to the waistline and also to the bust point. Okay, so these are all the these are all the contour guidelines that I'll be needing for this bra tutorial. Like I said, this is a bra, it's not a dress, it's a bra, so you don't want to wear it out. Okay, it's a bra. So having done that now, I'll be going in to get the exact shoulder. That sleeve there, that shoulder is like a mono strap, but it's not detached. Is attached. There's no place where you join from your shoulder to the bra. Is attached, it's together. So from my mid armhole, I got my mid armhole, and I'm going to go in by 1 inch from my mid armhole towards the tip of the shoulder, not the one that is close to the neckline, towards the tip of the shoulder. And I'll be joining this to where my bust circumference is. I'll be joining that line to where my bust circumference is, just as you're seeing on the screen. Also, I'm trying to make sure that this line also is in order, 1 inch as supposed. Oh, you just eyeball it, and what you see that it's nice where you want it to fit. There's no standard for this, but just look at it, and what you feel is artistic, the design is nice, then you go down and join together to where the 1 inch line is. So having done this now, I'll be coming down to this very point. From the bust point, I actually initially went down from the bust point by 1.5 inch. I went down from the bust point by 1.5 inch, and also by the side, that's the width. I'll be having a width of 0.5 inches, and then I'll be connecting that very shoulder line, the very shoulder line, which is our bra strap. I told you it's not detached, it's together. We'll be connecting it to that 0.5 inches. But I found out that this point is, it's very deep. It's actually very deep for a bra. So I will advise, do not come down from your bust point. Rather, you go up from your bust point. And going up from my bust point, I went up by ½ inch on top of my bust point. You can actually use 1 inch if you like, but ½ inch is okay. So I went on top of my bust point by ½ inch and connected it to the very circumference of my bust. Connected to the very circumference of my bust, and actually that line too is ½ inch. So having done this now, from that very line, which is the line of the shoulder, that's the strap, I'll be using strap, which is line of the strap of this bra, we're going to be making a curved line to meet that ½ inch of the center front. Just as you can see on the screen, I probably might not be able to explain this well, but if you're watching closely, you understand all that I'm saying. So having joined it to that very ½ inch, and also taking to that very ½ inch that joins the circumference of my bust, okay? So that's what we're going to be having now. And for the armhole, we're not going to use the actual armhole of a sleeve. Remember, this is a bra, so the armhole has to be deeper than our previous armhole. So I'm going in from my mid armhole, and artistic design which is needed. Also, you just have to be artistic, it's not really a standard. Then I'll come down by 1 inch from my side bodies. I'll come down for 1 inch, and I'll join this together, okay? And I'll just join this together, just as you can see on the screen, okay? I'll join this together. Having done this now, this very shape I'm creating is going to be my actual armhole. This very shape I'm creating now is going to be my actual armhole. So having done this now, I thought I was actually recording, but I didn't know I wasn't recording. So I went ahead to cut off my data. When I found out I wasn't recording, I didn't know how I felt. Then I had to use my tape to put everything back in place. But I'm going to go through what I just did now. So, you know, a bust doesn't get to your waist. A bra rather doesn't get to your waistline. A bra is somehow after the bust point. A bra comes down some inches after the bust point. So I'll be using 1 inch after my bust point, okay? 1 inch after my bust point. I'll be going down 1 inch after my bust point, and I'll be cutting this. I'll be taking off the waistline entirely from this very point, just so I have that bra, that bra effect. Just so I have that bra effect. Also, I've taken out my side bust dart, which you can see. Yes, this is it. I had to fit it back just to show you guys, and I took it off. I cut it off. So having done that, we're also going to be closing up our darts. But before I close up that dart, we're going to be cutting off the armhole of the bodice, just to get the exact armhole we need for this bra, the one we are actually drafted already, okay? So we are going to be cutting it off just to get the exact armhole of this bra, and we are cutting this up to the strap that we are using currently as our shoulder for this very bra. So now that we've done that, we're going to be closing up the darts that we made. So this armhole dart now, we are going to be closing it up and opening it at the side bust dart, okay? So having done this now, we are going to close up the armhole dart and opening it at the side bust dart, which is what I'm doing right now. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. So having done this now, we're going to be closing it up right here, okay? So having done that, having closed it and opened it at the side bust dart, we are going to also finish up this strap of the bra, which happens to be our shoulder, the place that is going to lay on our shoulder, and also get the kind of neckline. What I call it neckline, just the shape that this bra is supposed to be, as you can see. So I haven't done this now. I'm also going to be closing that dart that went from the neckline down to the bust point. I'm going to be closing it and opening it at the side bust dart. Just watch closely so that you understand everything I'm saying. It's quite very easy. Concentrate. It's quite very easy. So I've taped this down now and I've opened it at my side bust dart. So now we're going to be working on the under bust dart. So now we're going to be working on the under bust dart exactly. So I'm taking off the under bust dart, and now I'm going to close up the side bust dart and opening it at the under bust. I've closed up the side bust dart and now I've opened it at the under bust. So having done this now, we are going to trim off that. We don't want this part to be pointed, we don't want it to be pointed. We want it to be natural, like the way a bust is, like the way a breast is. It has to be natural. So because of that, we're going to be trimming off that. We're going to be giving it that kind of shape. So we don't want any pointed whatever. We're going to be trimming off anything that is going to cause a point, or using your pen, just draw. We're going to draw that curve, that kind of breast curve. Okay, so we're going to draw that curve, just so we'll smoothen it and remove every pointed darts and all that. So that's what I'm doing right away, as you can see in this video. That's what I'm doing. So I've removed that very point, so as remove every point that result as a result of the darts. Okay, so I haven't done this now. This is what we are left with. Okay, so this is what we are left with, and I'll be going ahead to separate the circumference of the bust from every other flat pattern. Abi. I really don't know how to explain this very well, but if you're watching closely, I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. So I'm removing the circumference from the flat pattern. Yeah, flat pattern. And also checking, also we'll be taking the armhole from this very point. I think, yeah, that's the best place to take it from. And then we'll be cutting this out, just so we have the cup separate and the other parts of this pattern separate also. And also you have to label so that you don't get confused. Okay, just have to label so that you do not get confused. So I haven't done that now. I'm also labeling. This side is the side that has to face the center front, and of course where your strap is for the side of your bodice, which is obvious because of the strap. And so we are going to be you're going to be sewing this down together. If you're using on your fabric, you're going to be sewing this down. So I'm going to be taping down together. I got a fresh paper so that we don't want all those patches of tapes and all that. Okay, we don't want all those patches of tapes and all that. We want it to look neat and natural. So I'm going to be tracing this out on this fresh paper so that we have a neat look. Yes, a neater look. I don't want all these tape patches and all that. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please, what are you waiting for? Your girl is bringing everything you need in this channel, so please do well to subscribe. Okay, thank you much for subscribing. And having said that, now you be careful while doing this tracing. You be careful while doing this tracing, because you want to get the exact shape of what you have in your paper down to your fabric. Okay, you be careful while doing this tracing so that you don't miss any kind of thing. Whatever you miss might actually be tampering with the fit of this very bra. So you have to be careful while tracing. If you're using a chalk, be sure to use the very tip of that chalk. I don't really like all this. There are some chalks, they are very bold, and you're like having an extra half inch from the line you actually have. Then when you add your allowance, you find out that you're having an extra half inch, stuff like that. So use the very tip of the chalk, okay, to do this. So having done this now, I'm going to be cutting out this shape. That place is actually the place that fits to the very center of the bust point, the very center of where we took the line from. You see that as we're going on in this tutorial. So I have to cut exactly the shape that I have here. Okay, I'll have to cut exactly the shape that I have here. So that's what I'm doing right now. You want to be very careful as you're cutting this also. That very particular place is the dart. This very opening is the dart. Okay, now some persons, they do not actually remove their dart. Yes, some persons do not remove their dart. They leave the dart in there, and when you're marking with your chalk, you mark it out as a dart and you sew on that place where the chalk is. Of course, in your fabric, you're not supposed to cut off this part. You just mark with your chalk and you sew that place where your chalk lines are. Okay, whatever you're using to make traces on your marks. So having done this now, I'm going to be very careful with cutting this off. Now we have two pieces of that very pattern, and I'm going to use my tape to show you just to tape it down. There is nothing much about this taping it down. If you're using your sewing machine, you just sew down, but I'm going to be taping this down. Okay, that's just this. I'm going to be taping this down. So I haven't done. I'm just going to be taping this down. Okay, and this is what it should look like when you're done taping it down. This is what you should have when you're done taping it down. Okay, this is what you should have when you're done taping it down. So I also go ahead and do that for the other part of the cup, and that's what we have now. You see, it's not pointed. That was why I trimmed out that very pointed part of the dart, so it just comes out nice and neat. So having done that, also we're going to be working on the other very pieces, and this very piece now, we're going to be joining this to this side. We're going to be closing up this dart because we don't want it to be cut separately. Okay, so we're going to be closing up this dart just to get it as one piece. We don't want a situation whereby we sew videos. Okay, so you just want to go and check that out. So we'll be taping this down right away, just so we get one piece, to avoid the stress of you sew, you join and stuff. So we don't want so many joining. This is a bra, so we are going to be taping this down just so we get one piece of it. Okay, and having done that, now I'm going to be cutting this on a fresh pattern paper. I actually wanted to use a white paper, but let me differentiate it from the cup, so I'm going to be using a brown paper to cut this as a whole piece. So again, I'll be tracing out this very particular shape carefully, tracing it out. This same as cutting on your fabric. The one I folded has to be the fabric, and the single one has to be the pattern paper. So you trace accurately, get whatever it is you want to use to hold down the pattern paper onto the fabric, and then you trace exactly that shape that you have. Okay, so you haven't traced this down. Also, do not forget to mark your notches when necessary, because that is going to be very important and help you while you sew. So I'm tracing this down now, just the exact shape of the very first piece that we taped together, of the very first piece that we drafted. Okay, so I'm also going to be making a very much to be very obvious, so I don't get confused when I am sewing them. When I'm stitching, I don't get confused when I'm putting them together. Now for this place, this is optional, it's not compulsory. I'm just trying to create that design, I'm just trying to play around with this side. You can leave yours to be straight, you can do whatever you want to do with it. I'm just trying to give it a kind of designed, I don't even know what to call it, but I was just playing around with it. So I haven't done that. Now I'm going to be cutting off this very particular piece, which is going to give us just the full piece. Okay, sure want to be careful what you're doing so that you do not make a mistake. Okay, so you're going to be cutting carefully. You're cutting this out now just so you have a single piece. Please subscribe to this channel, hit the like button so that this video can also help somebody else. Okay, so that's what I'm doing now, cutting this out to the very exact shape that I drew from the pattern piece. So having done this, now we're going to be having a single piece. Okay, we're going to be having a single piece, and when you attach your bra cups into this place, you're going to be having something like this, and I'll show you also how that will be done. Okay, so this is it. You're going to be having a singular piece of this when you attach it together to this. Okay, so having said that, now I'm going to show you how to attach this. Remember, I said you should mark your notches when necessary, so it is very important that you have your notches marked when necessary. And from that notch, that is exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to place these notches together. Okay, so we're going to be placing this notch of this very part to this place. We're going to be placing it together. So having placed it together now, you will sew. You want to be very careful while doing this. I actually had to reduce the size of this tape because when you're sewing, you take it a step at a time. This is not a straight, it's not straight. The seam is not straight, it's curved, so you have to be as careful as possible. You raise the needle of the machine when you have to. You have to be as careful as possible. Paper is actually very rigid and fabric is easily pliable, so if I'm doing it here on a paper, of course you should do it on your fabric easier. So you have to be very, take your time, don't be tensed, don't be anxious to see what it's going to look like. Just take your time and do this. Take your time and do this. Remove your anxiousness of what it's going to look like. But what's the need sewing it wrong and you have to lose and do it again? No. So just take your time and do this carefully. And I bet you it's going to come out sweet and nice. So that's what I'm doing now. Taking my time to tape this down carefully. One step at a time. Don't cut corners. Do not try to stitch. Just one step at a time. It's circular, so take it easy. Take it easy. Just so you do it in a way that it's not going to stress you. Okay, just take it easy and do it. Okay, so that's it for now, and I'm going to also be doing same thing to the other side. Okay, I'll go ahead to do same thing to the other side. Please, if you found this video helpful, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and comment whatever it is. You comment and tell me this is what next you want to see in the next video, or if there's something else that you wish to say, just put it in the comment section. Okay, that's it. So I'm taping this down now carefully, just so I get that very bra effect that we need in this particular video. You have to be very careful doing this. I cannot overemphasize on that. You have to be very careful taping this down. Okay, this is actually the trickiest of this. The sewing, the taping, whatever you have to sew with this, it should actually be simpler for you. But when you're trying to make it fast and you don't sew this when you're in a haste, if you're in a haste, just pack it and keep it one side. When you're done with what you're doing, you can come back to it and be sure you're relaxed so you can sew this carefully. Okay. The paper is actually rigid, so if this is if I'm able to do this on a paper, come on, the fabric is pliable, so you should be able to do this on a fabric as easier than the way it is for me now. Cause man, I'm trying my possible best to do this so that this paper does not tear. So it should be easier for you on your fabric because the fabric is pliable, okay? And the paper, I'm trying to be kind of soft with it so that it does not tear. And yes, it came out nice and beautiful because I'm almost done with it. I just have one place to tape down and that is it, okay? Trying to make sure everything lays nice and smooth as possible. So yes, that is it. And I'll go ahead also to fix the other part of it, okay? I'll go ahead also to fix this other part of it. And I haven't done that. I've gone ahead to fix the other part of it, and this is what you should have. After sewing, this is what you should have, okay? Yes, so this is your bra. I mean, you can go ahead to make thousands of bra, make millions of bra, different colors. You can play around with this. I think there is an idea that I wanted to put into this video about the breast cup, like you just want to play around with it. Okay, so thanks for watching. I'll probably see you in